So let's evaluate these operations here, where we're going to have the imaginary number get involved. So the first question here, 5 plus the square root of negative 10. So what's going to happen? So the first thing is, now we are under the complex numbers concept. So that means that negative is not going to be just like impossible anymore. So that becomes what, -1. Okay, and the -1 is the same thing as I to the second power. Okay, so in this case here, this one then is going to become 5 plus square root of, so now, and the other thing is 10 a perfect square? If not, you have to find two numbers that multiply to give you one as a perfect square, the other one not a perfect square. So what about 10? Is 10 a perfect square to begin with? No. Can we break it down to two numbers where one is going to be a perfect square, the other one is not? It's 2 times 5, we cannot do anything further than that. So what's happening here is this then is going to be 10i to the second power. Okay, so the negative sign. So as you guys can see, most of the time I will be putting the I after the number. Okay, just a matter of writing things down. Okay, so then what's going to happen is, we know this is going to give us 5 plus, so square root of I squared is going to be what? It's going to be I. So the I is going to come out, and then the 10 will stay under the radical because you cannot break it down further with the square root. Okay, so it stays like that. This is your final answer. Okay, so we go with the second question now. So we have -3 plus square root of -5. So what's happening here? With this one here, what we can do is, we got to go inside the radical again, and then we have what? Negative sign, which is going to be also the I squared. So this one is going to be -5, then plus square root of what? 7i to the second power. Okay? As we have that, what's going to happen then? So we have -3 plus square root of I squared is going to give you what? It's going to give you I. So the I is going to come out, and then square root of 7. Nothing more to do. You cannot add, you cannot subtract. Stays just like that. Okay? So now let's come to these two problems here. So we have -2.5 plus square root of -64. So same thing we're going to do. So we have, this is the same thing as having -2.5, okay, plus square root of 64i to the second power. Okay? Now, what is perfect square under that? 64 is a perfect square of what number? 8. So once we come down here, we end up with -2.5 plus 8. And what is square root of I squared is I. So it's 8i. Okay, can we add, subtract anything here? No. This is an imaginary number with a whole number in front of it, but this one is a whole number by itself, so we cannot add or subtract. That'll be our final answer. Now when it comes to the last question here, so we go -7 minus square root of what? 32i squared. Now everybody knows that the negative sign under the radical becomes now I to the second power. So once we have that, this is then equal to, we have -7. So minus, is there anything that we can do with the 32? Can we break it down? Yes. But it's not a perfect square. So we can do 16 times 2, right? So it's minus 16 times 2, I to the second power. So anything that is perfect square is going to come out. That means 16. And that means I to the second power. So that will give us what? -7 minus, what's happening here? Square root of 16 is what? It's 4. Square root of I to the second power is I. Square root of 2. And ladies and gentlemen, you are finished with the fourth question here. All right? Fantastic.